Agnes's Little War by Rosemary, Frisino, Toohey. The front porch of Agnes's house lights up on Agnes sitting on her porch holding an 8-ball. Evan enters.
Morning, ma'am. Well, I haven't seen one of those in a long time. It's a magic 8-ball, isn't it?
That's what it is. It's giving me grief today.
Oh, how so?
Oh, it's a little game my husband used to play. Daniel always began his morning asking the 8-ball what kind of day it was going to be. I told him he was being silly, but now he's gone. I guess I've picked up his habit. Anyway, today it says, better not tell you now. What kind of answer is that?
Well, I'm sure I don't know. Would you mind if I sat down for a moment here on your steps?
Oh, you can come up and sit on the porch. I won't let you inside, of course.
Oh, no, ma'am. That's very wise, and I wouldn't ask that anyway.
Have a seat. Just so you know, Miss Jacobs across the street is keeping an eye on us. Oh, you can't see her. She's behind her curtains. We look out for one another.
Well, that's a great idea. Very smart.
It works for us. She's been there 42 years and I've been here 37. Now, why don't you tell me what you're selling?
Oh, I'm not a salesman.
Oh, that's what they all say. Come on, what is it? Aluminum siding, gutter covers?
No, really. I mean, you are Agnes Chomsky, correct?
I am. And who might you be?
Well, the name is Evan Allen, and I've come about the letters. You do write letters, I believe?
Of course. Doesn't everybody?
Mrs. Chomsky, I think it's fair to say you write more letters than the average person.
Well, that may be, but I have no way of knowing how many letters the average person writes.
Well, not many, I assure you. Most people rely on email nowadays.
So I hear. My great nephew couldn't thank me for his graduation gift because I'm not online.
Now, that's a shame. Well, let me get right to the point. You have written 21 letters to a certain gentleman. There's no need to deny it.
Oh, I'm not denying it. But you said 21 letters, you're wrong. It's 22.
Well, I stand corrected. Now, the reason I've come here is to focus on the claims you've made against this individual who shall remain unnamed, if you don't mind. I'm here to ask you what it would take for you to turn your attention elsewhere.
Are you a lawyer, Mr. Allen? You sound like a lawyer.
Well, yes, ma'am, I am.
Well, if you've read my letters, you know exactly what I want, Mr.
No, please, no names.
I have made it perfectly clear. I want my $25 back. And I want an apology from him in person.
Well, seriously now, you cannot expect the individual of whom we speak to do what you want.
Why not?
Well, he's busy. He can't call on every individual contributor to the campaign. We're talking about tens of thousands of people. I don't wish to be rude, but let's be realistic.
Why do people always say they don't wish to do something and then they go right ahead and do it?
Well, what you're asking for is impossible. I'm sorry, but it's just impossible.
And I don't think you're sorry at all. Sorry implies regret, and that's not what you meant.
Mrs. Chomsky, until now, your letters have been an annoyance, a troubling annoyance to the gentleman involved. That's not to say he wasn't deeply concerned. But when you wrote that you're now sending copies to the Wall Street Journal and the New York Times, things took on a different character. And it's come to our attention that one of the TV networks might be interested in what you have to say. Now that we see your claims as anything but, well, preposterous, and I mean that in the kindest sense.
Of course.
Now, I don't pretend to understand the workings of the news media, but I do know that what you've written, what you might say into a microphone in front of a TV camera, these things could cause a great deal of harm. I'm not only talking about the unnamed the individual of whom we speak, who, by the way, is trying to move on with his life.
I read that he might run for office again.
And he has that right. He's a fine lawmaker. The thing is, by turning the spotlight again on certain embarrassing behavior that has been duly reported in the press and is now largely forgotten, your views, if they came to light, could throw a shadow on his future, his future, as well as the future of his family, his friends, his party. They might even give the opposition ample ammunition to thwart the aims and the goals of many people, many programs, I might add, that you have supported over the years.
How do you know what I've supported?
Well, let's just say we're aware of your political positions. Now, perhaps what we heard was simply untrue. Maybe there is no TV crew on their way out here.
But you're not sure. And even though you think I'm something of a kook.
Well, no, ma'am, I did not use that word.
My views, my preposterous claims might just get someone's attention. Is that it? And that's why you're sitting on my porch.
Ma'am, are you about to be interviewed by NBC? What if we were to ask the 8 ball?
Don't touch it, Mr. Allen.
Mrs. Chomsky, we are prepared to offer you a gesture of goodwill, a monetary gift. This is the amount inside the envelope. And as you see, it's considerably more than the $25 you asked for. It's yours. All you have to do is give your word that you'll cancel any TV interviews, say nothing to the news media, and stop writing those letters.
Is that all? And where does this money come from?
Well, let's just say it's from a friend. The individual of whom we speak has many friends. They help him take care of things sometimes.
So I'm something to be taken care of?
Ma'am, we know you really don't want to cause trouble to anyone.
There you go again. How do you know that?
You've never been in trouble with the law. You have a spotless work record, cleaning offices on the night shift for 22 years. You pay your bills, sometimes a little late.
Who told you all that?
Well, it's nothing to be ashamed of. All the more reason to take what we're offering.
Do you think this is about money? Do you think that's why I wrote those letters?
Mrs. Chomsky, you've claimed that the gentleman owes you some.
He does, but there's a lot more to it than that. He presented himself as an honest man, a candidate to be president of these United States. He traveled around the country, was in the newspapers, showed up on television.
Well, it's what people do when they run for office.
But he is not fit for the job. He talked about all the things he would do if he were elected, but he could not be elected. Don't you see?
His numbers in the initial primaries were very strong.
But he lied. He broke a vow. He was unfaithful to his wife.
Well, that may be, but why do you have the right to take offense?
Mr. Allen, when I contributed to his campaign, when I gave him that money, I did it because I believed he could make a difference in the White House.
But you cannot expect him to.
I can expect anything at all. My expectations are my business.
Agreed, but the gentleman's transgressions were his own business. You have no right to start a war over it. What he did, what he didn't do, it's a private matter.
Well, it would be a private matter if he wanted to be president of a bank or head of a department store chain. But we are talking about the most important job in the country, maybe the most important job in the world. The person who wants to sit where Washington and Lincoln and Truman and Reagan have sat should be able to tell the difference between the truth and a lie. The promises they make, the vows they take ought to mean something. Actions have consequences. He had no chance of becoming president after he did what he did. And this means he took my money under false pretenses. Well, I want it back. And I am not going to stop writing letters. And when people from the Today Show land on this porch tomorrow, I'll be right here. In a good dress, of course.
Mrs. Chomsky, I'm going to ask you one more time to
Put
reconsider.
the envelope away, Mr. Allen.
Okay, well, I regret that you're unwilling to see things our way, ma'am. I came here in good faith. You might keep that in mind in the days to come.
The days to come.
Well, as you say, actions do indeed have consequences.
What are you getting at?
Well, as I pointed out, your financial picture is shaky. You're behind on your gas bill. But more importantly, you haven't paid the taxes on this house this year.
I was sick. I had to buy medicine, and how do you know what I?
Okay, you'd be surprised at the information that's available online these days. Be ashamed to lose your house, wouldn't it? Daniel's house?
I am not going to lose it. I have every intention of.
Now, I know you're not familiar with the internet, but we're aware of the fact that it's very easy to spread stories about people who have their 5 minutes of fame on TV.
What kind of stories? What?
Some folks, I'll probably figure that you're targeting a hardworking public servant who's reconciled with his family because you yourself are hard up for money, about to lose your house and land in the street. Others, of course, might see it in a different light, as a lonely, slightly unhinged little old lady who just wants attention.
Evan picks up the magic 8-ball, turns it over, and reads.
It is certain. What a fun gadget. You have yourself a good afternoon, ma'am.